All right, Giles, if you would please say and spell your first and last name and your title and the best telephone number to reach us or reach you.
Sorry, let me just turn off my alerts. I don't know if you can hear those coming through, but my name is Giles Reese Jones, and that's GilesRhysJones. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at What Three Words. The best telephone number to get me on is +44 77 486 53352.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what started this really global project that you have and the scope of its impact.
So, What Three Words is just a really simple way to talk about locations because when you think about it, the world is actually quite badly addressed. You have street names and street numbers that cover certain parts of the world, but actually, the majority of the world doesn't have a street address. So, if you go out into rural parks, rural areas, coastlines, they're not covered by street addresses. And that can be frustrating and that can be dangerous. And so, what we've done at What Three Words is we've divided the world up into 57 trillion 10-foot by 10-foot squares. And we've given each one of those squares a unique 3-word address. So, for example, if I wanted to meet you on Cliff Walk in Newport, I could say, hey, I'm going to meet you at the bench, which is at Spark Pizza Found. And you can type that into our free app and it will tell you exactly the spot that I want to meet you at.
So it's something that, if I'm understanding correctly, the general public can use to make meeting each other more or simpler. But it is particularly something that you guys are connecting with municipalities for in order to increase public safety.
Yeah, so we're seeing members of the public download and use our free app, and they're using it to meet up with their friends at the beach or for trail runs. Photographers are using it to remember particularly memorable places. But what we're seeing is that many parts of the world, and actually many parts of the United States, they're starting to use it for emergency services because one of the first questions they ask you when you dial 911 is, what's the address of the emergency? And if you're not at home, which happens frequently, and you don't know the exact address of the incident, or it doesn't have a street address, then it can be really, really difficult to describe where you are. And so they're now starting to accept What Three Words addresses so they can dispatch help to get to the exact spot.
Have you gotten any feedback? Well, let me back up a question. How many EMS or municipalities are you guys seeing take on this software in this application?
Uh, so we're being used by services all across the world, actually. So almost all of the services in the UK, the services in Australia, services in Germany, and actually we have over 48 states that are now using What Three Words at a granular level. So you have Rhode Island, who have now started to accept it on a statewide basis, but just next door, your neighbours in Massachusetts, we have a number of different services there that also use it.
So, in connecting with these municipal leaders to get this really kind of fun app and give it a more meaningful application, have you been able to quantify any increases in response times that have been reported from people and the way that it is helping to save lives?
Anecdotally, officers that use the system have said that it saves time when it is critical, and it has been instrumental in saving lives. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had rescues, a couple of rescues actually down in Virginia. We had a person who fell down a 40-foot manhole and used What Three Words to direct emergency services to where he was. And then we had someone hiking in Terrapin Mountains in Virginia, got lost and called emergency services and used What Three Words to locate them. So we're seeing stories across the states of where What Three Words has been instrumental in helping people be found.
Are there any concerns that you all anticipate that could arise from utilizing this service in potentially bad ways? There's an M word that I'm searching for. I can't find it right now, but are there are there any uses that are not advisable for the general public?
Uh, well, I think it's really important to note that What Three Words is an incredibly useful app, and it's very useful in an emergency service situation. But it's critical that it's not a substitute for being prepared, being able to read a map. If you're all going out hiking, please ensure you wear correct footwear and you have nutrition and water with you, and you know how to navigate. But in certain circumstances, What Three Words is incredibly helpful. One of the benefits of What Three Words is that we have it in multiple languages, but it also works offline. So if you don't have a data connection, the system will still work.
So that does bring up an interesting point. With that working offline, how safe is the app from being hacked by someone who may want to track someone without their knowledge? Does that make sense?
Yes, that's a good question. What Three Words doesn't track anybody. You have to make a conscious decision to open the app, and then you just read out the 3 words that are displayed for your location or the location of the incident to a call handler. So it's not a tracking app, and you cannot be tracked using it.
Okay, and then what do municipalities have to do in order to use the app? Do they have to contact you all, or how do they kind of implement that into their day-to-day operations?
So we have a simple app that anybody can download and use, and we have a website, what3words.com, that anybody can go to and check out. But we've also got code, and that code is being built into dispatch software. So municipalities can contact their dispatch software companies, and it's most likely that we've been built into those, or they can take our code and build it into their own systems. So in many parts of the world, we're being used by delivery companies, for example, because we can make their businesses much more efficient. In London, I can get a pizza delivered to me in the park, for example, by using a What Three Words address. I can get a taxi to pick me up and drop me off at a What Three Words address. And we've even been built into cars. So I can get into a Subaru. I can say, hey, take me to Apple Banana Spoon, and it knows exactly where I want to go. And so we're being used for fun and exciting things, and then we're also being used around the world to help save lives.
All right, I've got two more questions. I try and get everybody in and out in 15 minutes or less. So, one of the things that we hear a lot of times is that if an app is free, then more often than not, in one way or the other, they're benefiting from your information somehow. What's in it for you guys in providing this global service to millions and billions of people? What for free? It is free, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
are
So
you guys
the
getting from it?
we have an interesting business model. If you are a business that we can make more efficient and help you save money, so for a delivery company, for example, we've done tests, and we can save you about a third of a delivery driver's time by just being a little bit more accurate. And we charge them a fee to use that. But for individual people and users, it's free, and we don't track and we don't sell data. For emergency services and aid organizations in different parts of the world, we don't charge them because we believe it's the right thing to do. We think that a business who can benefit commercially should pay for that. But if you're doing good in the world, then it should be free for you to use.
Who is responsible for this technology? Is it a group of people? Is it one person? Who do we credit with this amazing life-saving capability?
So there's a team of about 100 of us based in largely in London. But the original idea came from our founder, Chris, who actually organized music events around the world. And he was constantly frustrated because either a street address wasn't accurate enough if he was trying to find gate 37B at a large stadium to deliver equipment, or he was trying to find a chateau in rural France. He was constantly frustrated. And so he started using GPS coordinates, kind of ones and zeros, 18 digits. And it became apparent very quickly that drummers and roadies are not predisposed to remembering 18 digits, writing them down on a piece of paper, typing them into a sat nav, and then actually getting there. And what he found was people would phone him up going, I think I'm here, but I'm not entirely sure. Because if you mix up a 1 and a 7, you end up an hour north of Rome instead of an hour south of Rome, and you haven't seen the issue. And so he sat down with a friend of his who happened to be a mathematician, and they were chatting about this issue. And the friend said, how about if we use words? What could we do with words? And so that's when they decided that they could divide the world up into small squares. 10 foot is small enough to be useful. And they needed a list of 40,000 words. So 40,000 English words, 40,000 times 40,000 times 40,000 gives you 64 trillion unique combinations, which is enough to cover the entire planet. And so very, very quickly that the system was born. And then even quicker, it became apparent that it was much more useful than getting roadies and crew members to gigs on time. And actually, we are still being used. We were used extensively at Burning Man. We were used at the Governor's Ball in New York. We're used at Glastonbury because if you're at a large event and you're trying to meet someone, you could say, "I'm by the flag," or you could just tell them the 3-word address of where you want to meet them.
Okay, quickly, the two individuals' names, first and last, if you can.
That is Chris Sheldrick
Uh-huh.
and Mohan. I will have to send you his last name and exactly how to say it.
Yes,
I
if
can
you could.
follow up with that.
Yes,
Yeah, we
if
can
you
follow
could
that.
send that, please. We're also trying to get this to air for our noon show. So the faster you get that information,
Okay,
the better.
cool, perfect.
Was AI used in this at all?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, every single word is checked by a human to make sure it's not rude, to make sure there's no. So, for example, sailboat and shop sale sound the same, spelt different. We've taken those out of the system because they're confusing. We've taken out rude words, we've taken out offensive words. So yes, everything is hand checked. And then strangely, like we've been used in like TV shows. So NCIS Los Angeles used us in a show the other day. One of their people got kidnapped and they left a 3-word clue in a book, and they were like, what's this? And someone in the background goes, that's what 3 words. Super cool. We've got some clips of where we've been used in TV shows. So it's a system that people seem to really love, and people are getting signs made for their properties and people putting us in guidebooks. It's brilliant.
How cool. Gosh, when was it founded? When did it start? When did all this start? It had to like,
We're about 10 years old now.
was that 2014?
13.
2013. Okay, started in 2013. Last question, and I'll open the floor for
Yep.
you to tell us anything. But what is the next step? What do you see? What is the next step that you envision for this software?
We see a dramatic increase in the number of car companies and delivery companies that are now using What 3 Words. So we've got 14 different car companies now that you can get into a Jaguar Land Rover, a Mercedes, Subaru, Mitsubishi. Just say the 3 words and it knows where you want to go, which removes a huge amount of frustration. And then delivery companies, we're seeing more and more, but we're seeing rapid adoption in the US, particularly in the emergency service sector, because they're finding it's so useful and it's saving lives.
All right. Anything else that you would like to add before we go?
Ella will remind me what I forgot to say, but I think I got everything in there.
I'm impressed. You actually really did. It's free. We're not
I
pulling the toolkit, all of
didn't tell
it.
you about the I didn't tell you about the
Did.
tattoos. We've got people have
Oh,
got tattoos of what three words addresses for meaningful places. Yeah, we got a couple that got married and they got matching tattoos for where they met.
Oh,
I know it's
cool.
amazing.
This has been a very insightful and enjoyable interview. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to share it with me. And as I mentioned, we'll try and get this up for our noon broadcast, which will happen in about 2 hours from now. And we may have
Wow.
bits and pieces of it in some of our later broadcasts. We will also add this to our website, and Ella, I will do my best to follow up with you by sending you the link to that address so you can feature it that way. Any questions for me?
No, I
I,
appreciate you
oh,
taking the time.
yeah.
Excellent. Thank you all. I'm going to stop the
Thank
recording and end the meeting. You guys have a great day. What's left of
you.
the
Likewise,
show.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye.